Hi, I'm Lisa Haydon with Community Focus on Washington County, Channel 6, Central Kentucky TV. And today I am happy to have as our first guest Daniel Carney, the Springfield-Washington County Economic Development Director.
Right, it's a mouthful. Thanks for having me.
I haven't seen you in a while, Daniel. Matter of fact, we haven't interviewed you since you first became the Economic Development Director here. Now, how long has that been?
It will actually be 4 years in April, so time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Are you kidding?
But it has probably been over a year at least since I've talked to you guys.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that as well. I had to go back and look at some of my paperwork, but yeah, it was 2013, April 2013 when I started. So
I cannot believe
a lot has
it.
happened since then, and still learning and getting used to what all is encompassed in economic development for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I was just very impressed with your nice presentation to the City Council the other evening. And so I thought, well, gosh, Daniel just needs to get us up to date, get this listening audience up to date with what's going on here in Washington County.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to do that. I was happy to visit with Fiscal Court and City Council, and our organization, SWEDA, is a joint effort from City and County. So those, Council, Fiscal Court, Mayor, County Judge are really what keeps us going and kind of the vision that kind of drives our organization, and then they both appoint 3 board members that kind of guide our efforts as well. But it was a good time to do that. I think anytime you have a new year, whether it's in your personal life or in your business life or whatever it is, you kind of like to take a step back and kind of reflect on where you are. And so with economic development, there's so many different things that come into play with that. But a new year lets you kind of see what you did in 2016, where you want to go in 2017, what you did good, what you need to improve upon, that kind of thing. So we look at a lot of demographics and just, we talk with our industry and our business leaders just to kind of see what directions we need to go in the upcoming year. I know one of the big things for us that we looked at was unemployment rate. And we have numbers from November. We're always a couple months behind the way they calculate that. And when that came out, Washington County showed that it was probably right around the top 10 counties for unemployment rate in the state of Kentucky. I think Woodford County's the lowest, around 2.6 or 2.7, and Washington County's right there at 3.1%.
So you mean as far as the number of unemployed, we were one of the lowest in the state?
Right. We're one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state.
That's impressive.
Probably, yeah. And if you look at going back, just say to 2009, we were at a 13% unemployment. And that's when we had some plant closures and that kind of thing. But we've seen tremendous growth from existing industry and excellent growth from small business as well that has really led to a lot of job creation and really attributed to that low unemployment rate. It was a little bit nerve-wracking. We didn't know what that would look like, especially with the closure of St. Catherine College. The closure of St. Catherine will reflect itself in some other numbers, I'm sure. But at least we have continued to create jobs and continue to lower that rate. What that means is, it's kind of a double-edged sword, I say. We want to be on the low end of it because that means people are working, that we have plenty of jobs and that kind of thing. But then to continue with growth of expansion of existing industry and to recruit new industry, you're kind of limited on the workforce that you can pull from. So economic development kind of has to evolve where you're not just recruiting new business, new industry. You got to recruit people. Yeah. So we have to sell ourselves as a place that has jobs, low cost of living, and then excellent quality of life. And I think we have all of those things. So now it's be creative and to continue to work with retention and assist our existing companies in continued growth. And then we have a lot to offer to new companies that would want to come in as well.
And so now we've had the expansion of NOAC, probably several expansions there.
I think NOAC celebrated their 15-year anniversary a year or two ago, and at that time they had done 17, or this was Toyotomi rather. NOAC has been here 25 years, and they've experienced expansion constantly because they work with a number of different automotive manufacturers. What makes them so great is that they're diversified. They don't just supply one part to one manufacturer. You know, you might go through their plant and they're working on a Toyota Camry line here, and then across the plant they're working on the dashboard for the Ford truck line. So, you know, I said Toyota and Ford because, as we know, Toyota in Georgetown added a Lexus line. Our Ford truck plant in Louisville has expanded. So that causes growth to our supplier plants here. And then what I was mentioning with Toyotomi, they've been here, it was their 15-year anniversary, and at that time they had done, I think, 17 expansions.
Wow.
So those two companies that are, you know, heavily engaged in the automotive industry are a big, you know, reason why we've seen such job growth. I mean, they're probably both at around 500 employees right now. So just with those two companies, we've got 1,000 jobs.
500 employees each.
Each, yeah. And they both have.
Gosh, that's 1,000 people. That's the population of Springfield.
Exactly right. I mean,
3,000.
Your total, and then you know your total workforce, you know, for the entire county. That 1,000 jobs is, you know, probably 15% or whatever of your total workforce, and that doesn't, you know, you've got a lot of people commuting outside the county.
Right.
So between those two, we've seen tremendous growth in numbers, you know, and those are good, skilled jobs. The wage, starting wages, benefits, all that thing, all the attributes you want to see are there. But we've also had excellent growth from some of our smaller companies. Alltech has been one that has seen significant growth, and they've kind of changed their model to kind of reflect some growing trends where they're working with the bourbon industry some now here at our Alltech plant. LB Manufacturing is another that has continued to grow and add jobs, and they purchased their building not too long ago, so that means they want to be here, so that's a good sign.
What do they manufacture those?
LB, they're also engaged in the automotive industry. They would be probably like a tier 2 supplier. They do some welding and some light stamping and that kind of thing. So they do some different products as well. But then with companies like Discount Home Furnishings that have continued to add people and add space, people probably don't really know about. Downey & Sons Pallet. You've got companies
Discount
like
Home Furnishings. That's the Smiths.
Yes, they have an online presence that, you know, they're shipping products all over the country and maybe even beyond. But you know, cabinet hardware, doorknobs, these types of things, and they've been a great you know, employer and really grown a lot. I mean, they went from a small warehouse that was, you know, some former property of their dad's business, and now they've got a lot of their own buildings that they've really filled up and are really expanding their business. And like I say, there's a lot of hidden gems that people probably really don't know about. People probably don't realize that they're operating here, and they probably have 20 or more employees at this point.
Right.
So a lot of things like that have really led to the growth. And we've got, you know, Barber Cabinet, Bluegrass Dairy and Food, Bonnie Plant. All of those are great employers for us, but then on down the line, we have some great entrepreneurs that have operated in this town for a while, and then some that have just popped up that are really, you know, it's a wide variety.
Our alpaca industry,
sure.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, you know, U.S. Natural Fibers they're kind of pioneers in that industry, and they work with Royalty Fiber Farm, and you know, their big niche is socks, but they're doing a lot of other things with yarn and even looking into the movement with hemp. You know, is there a way that their business in creating yarn from different types of animal fiber, is there a way that the hemp fiber can be used in that same respect? And you know, the hemp program is still a research program, and we've got several farmers in the area that are growing that, but you know, they're kind of trying to get on the forefront of that to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
Just a lot of good things. I mean,
a lot of entrepreneurs.
Absolutely,
here,
you know, we've got a wide variety of jobs available. I think a lot of people look at, you know, even the people that are from here, they think we're a rural community. You know, there's, you know, either your farm or maybe working in a factory or something like that. But there's a really good range of career pathways that you can take here. That's whenever I talk to our high school students, you know, that are going off and becoming engineers and doctors and attorneys and that kind of thing. You know, I encourage them to at least consider coming back, because that's what we need, you know, to kind of continue to move the community forward. And, you know I'm thrilled to be here. I didn't know that when I left to go to school that I would come back, but I feel very blessed to be here, and I think the community does have a lot to offer.
Well, that's really important, as you said, Daniel, because you know, we're getting old. we need people to replace us, and you know, it is really nice, you know, to see last night I attended, one of the ball games here and watched the little Pom-Pets or whatever.
Sure.
I can't think what they're called, perform. And I know Celia ought to be in there.
Yeah, she'll be there in a year or two, I'm sure.
But all these little children,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we have to have, that growth. And there were all these families, and so I noticed, young one couple, they've got 3 little children now and a 4th
Mm-hmm.
one on the way. I said, well, if we're going to have growth, we've got to have people here to do those jobs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Our population growth is, if there is any, it's very low. I don't think we're losing a lot of population, but if you look at the trend lines, we're probably not growing a whole lot. And like you said, it is an aging population.
Yeah.
And so we've got to replace, you've got the baby boomer generation that if they're not already, they're getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
So those are skilled positions, and then that also affects, healthcare, because you need assisted living and that kind of thing. We've got to find ways to get our young people to stay in the area, or if they do go off and get an education, to come back.
Right.
So.
And we do, our attorneys and our teachers. We are. I noticed we've got a lot of new teachers in, and that's great. But a lot of these professional positions, our lawyers, our doctors.
Right.
We're fortunate in that we've got some young people your age that have come back to be physician assistants.
Sure.
And nurse practitioners, and
Yeah.
and then there are some new doctors in the area. So
There's really a wealth of talent in this area.
Yeah.
We have been fortunate in that respect. I mean, I think we've certainly got the best and brightest here. You look at you look at our high school students. I mean, they have achieved at the highest level, governor's scholar and beyond. So we're certainly doing some things right, and we hope that we leave enough of an impact on them that if they come back and make their career here, or come back and retire here, or whatever, and invest in this community, that's what we want to happen. So
yeah.
That may become a little bit more of a challenge with the departure of St. Catherine College.
Yeah,
and that's
Daniel, let's talk about that a minute.
That's kind of what's
that was 100. How many?
100 and probably 25 or 30 jobs, and then probably another 500 students that were living in the area. So I think the impact of that, we may not know the full impact for several years down the road, but from an education perspective, from a jobs perspective, it just trickles down the line. I mean, as an economic developer, it's pretty daunting to think, how do we overcome that? And I think we're off to a good start, but we're going to have to get creative. I mean, there was some stuff that came out last week about the VA hospital.
Yeah.
And, Steve Hale should be commended for getting the word out and just getting the wheels turning. I've talked to some people at the VA, and I think their focus is still committed to the site that they purchased in Louisville. But that was a good way to get the word out that this campus is here. And a lot of people, that campus for so many years was education. And so I think a lot of people thought, well, either another college comes in or it's just going to sit vacant. But I think when you get publicity out there like that, just, about a hospital or something like that, the wheels kind of start turning, and you see, well, maybe there could be another use for that facility. Maybe it could be assisted living. Maybe it could be a workforce training center. Maybe it could be a place that specializes in camps, summer camps or adult camps or any kind of thing, some kind of a treatment center. So I think there are options out there, and I think, as we've talked and with your role on the council and things, that we know that as a community we probably need to get a little bit more proactive if we want to have some control in the direction that goes in. I mean, it's in real estate hands now, but we can certainly kind of put our heads together and figure out as a community what we would like to see there, and there's no reason that we can't market to those types of facilities. And I said recently that if a new industrial prospect or employer comes into town and is interested, we'll put together an incentive package together, and not just an incentive package, I guess, but basically a total package of what our utility rates are, what are the taxes the first couple of years, are there tax abatements or rebates that we can help them, to get set up. There's no reason that somebody that would be interested in that St. Catherine College campus wouldn't qualify for those same incentives. So we need to make sure that if they get some interest, that as a community we're ready to show them that, you know, we're going to embrace them with open arms, because we want to see that campus turn into something positive again. And I really think it can, and I hope in 2017 it does. I mean, I hope it's sooner rather than later. But that'll be a big focus, I think. You know, we've been talking with Elizabethtown Community and Technical College recently. They've got a new president that we met with last week, just kind of talking to them about, you know, they were already an important resource for us, but with the absence of St. Catherine, they are even more important. They've added some healthcare classes. They're going to probably look at some other areas that maybe they can increase some programming to really become a community college. I think people, that's another hidden gem. I think a lot of times people think, well, unless you want to do tool and die, industrial maintenance, those kind of functions, that school can't service you, but that's not true. They've got general ed classes, you know, if you just wanted to get an associate's degree there and go on to a bigger university. And again, the allied health program, something they're going to be ramping up. They're considering even classes like culinary. So that campus becomes more important, and we'll continue to work with them. And then, of course, we also have the Marion County Area Technology Center where our high school students can take classes in the same type of fields. They've got an engineering program there. They've got health sciences, industrial maintenance, those kinds of things. And they also have a new principal that we've been working with, just trying to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to let our students and citizens have an opportunity to earn an education, but also create, you know, a skilled pipeline of workers for our existing industry. So,
well,
you know,
and with the now the students here, our high school students, they, I think, did we have some kind of agreement? I know we did with the college on those classes, but I think you indicated maybe that was something you were going to work on for the future, is having that dual
credit
opportunities
right.
with our community and technical college here.
Yeah, with St. Catherine they had Commander College, which was an excellent program, and students could start taking classes through St. Catherine their junior year of high school, and then by the time they graduated high school, they also had earned an associate's degree.
Yeah.
So you're so far ahead of the game by the time you graduate high school. And that was just a wonderful program. The students that went through it were very successful. So, you know, that's just another trickle-down blow of losing St. Catherine. I think for this first year, they kind of had to scramble because with St. Catherine, the closure announcement coming in the summer, it was kind of hard to find a scheduling and get that, you know, those classes worked out for dual credit. So I know the first year, this year, they've worked with Campbellsville University in filling some of those gaps. But our conversation now has been how can ECTC also kind of mimic that program and make sure that that Commander College associate degree program is going to be available for future students. Yeah. We also have the aviation and aerospace program at the high school, which has been very popular and very successful. You know, they've got flight simulators, and that's it's not just if you want to be a pilot. There's aircraft maintenance and mechanic, and you know, with UPS hub and those kind of things. And Kentucky actually, I think, is its biggest producer dollar-wise is aviation and aerospace.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So that's a great career track, and we've had a lot of students interested in that, and that's opened up some partnerships with our local airport. They've got a pilot that is the director of the airport, and he's gotten involved. So that's been a great program too, and I think we'll look to continue to provide some more opportunities like that for our students.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's the key, isn't it?
Absolutely. Partnerships are key, especially for a small community like this. And so
right.
That's a big part of what we do in my office is you know, try to make sure those partnerships are in place so that we're serving the community the best way that we can.
Mm-hmm. And Daniel, now before we end today, you've certainly got to mention that now Washington County is a work-ready
Mm-hmm.
Community, and one of the first in the state, I think.
So our last newsletter that went out, the headline was just that we're ready. The state's kind of adopted this movement of readiness. So we became work ready actually last year. And the work ready program focuses on educational attainment, graduation rate, you know, workforce development measures, broadband access, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that serves to show that we have all the things in place to create a highly skilled workforce. And then the next thing they started was the Build Ready program.
Right.
And that's what we just got certified in, and
Right.
that's we were the number 10 site, I believe, in the state. And Build Ready was created. The State Office of Economic Development noticed that the number of existing buildings in the state was kind of drying up. So they started the Build Ready program and put out a set of standards that you could create a leveled pad site. So land, basically, that's been leveled, surveyed, permits are in place, that kind of thing, that maybe a building doesn't stand on, but it would speed up the construction process probably 90 days for a company. And then it allows you to advertise that site as a building. So we were actually kind of ahead of that. They started this program a couple years ago, and 3 years ago we put a pad on one of our sites. You know, we've got a 300-acre park, and we didn't have the funds to do a spec building, but we wanted to have a site that was more marketable and ready to go. So once the Build Ready program came out, we were kind of ahead of the game, and we've taken that a step further now through that process, and we've got building plans up, and all the permits are in place. That pad site is expandable. You could probably put about a 60,000 square foot building on it now, but it's on a 15-acre lot, so we could expand that out, and you could really do whatever you needed to, and we will certainly work with somebody that was interested in that site. And then also AT&T kind of followed suit, and you know, it used to be when a prospect would come in and look at utilities, they wanted to see what's your water capacity, what's your sewer capacity, do you have the electric and gas that we need. Now broadband and internet is such a key component of that, because if an industry sets up and they don't have the internet speeds and access they need, then you know it's going to hinder their success. So we worked with AT&T to make sure our park was fiber ready also. That means the fiber optic cables and that kind of thing are there for high speed internet access and that kind of thing. And then another niche we're looking at is the small business sector.
Right, I like that idea.
I think in a small community, you really have to nurture that small business side and the entrepreneurs, and we need to do a better job of that, and we're certainly going to try. One of the things that we found, we've got a 300-acre park, as I mentioned, and the smallest lot in the park is probably 15 acres. Now, those are imaginary lines, but when you look at the plans, that's just kind of, that's how your mind goes. And we got some inquiries from 2 or 3 small businesses that say wanted 2 acres. Well, how did we take that 15-acre lot and cut off 2 acres, and then the 13 acres left was still usable? So we kind of ran into some issues there, and then we thought, you know, are our protective covenants and you know, guidance on how the park can be used suitable for a small business park? So what we've done, we took a 30-acre lot. We have drawn it up into 10 different sites ranging from 2 to 4 acres. We added some different language to make sure that lot would be suitable for small business and not just large industry. And we'll be putting in some infrastructure, a road, water, sewer, those kind of things in the coming months, so that the next time, you know, a small business person in this community or outside of our community comes and wants to invest, we're ready to do that with them. And we're very excited about that. We think it could be a niche for us. You know, going back to the unemployment rate, knowing that it would be very hard for us to supply the labor for a very large industry right away, this allows us to kind of focus on those smaller industries and help them grow. So we're excited about that. And if anybody wants more information on that, you know, feel free to call our office, 336-0052, or you can email me at daniel@sweda.org.
Daniel@sweda.org.
Mm-hmm.
And SWEDA, of course, is the Springfield-Washington County Economic Development Authority.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, or they can just call over to City Hall and say, give me the...
they'll find me some way or another. But yeah, if you call the Opera House, or like I say, email, you can get on our website, www.sweda.org. There's more information about our industrial park. There's more information about pretty much everything we talked about, the educational opportunities, that kind of thing. So we, you know...
I think it gives an overview of the, you know, if you were to come here, that, you know, like your workforce and the schools and the churches and everything.
There's
you might
a lot
need,
of demographic information on there.
Yeah.
You know, it tells you who your utility providers are. It'll go over who your schools are, and I mean, once you get to the school page, then you can get links to you know, all the information you would need about our local public school or private schools, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of information there. So please visit, and we always welcome any feedback. You know, we're a community organization, so my door's open, and if you have any kind of idea of maybe how we should be doing things differently, or something that would be good for the community, please get in touch with us, and I would love to talk to anybody.
Well, we have to say that you know, you work with the tourism director as well, and the Main Street Renaissance director, because, you know, there are buildings right here on Main Street. Sometimes we might need to get filled with a new business, and
we have a lot
tourism,
of partnerships.
We're interested in the
bourbon industry, no doubt. Maybe 2017 will be our year for that. We've kind of seen it circle around us, and we've had some projects that have been interested in the past, but it hasn't panned out. But we would love to get involved with the bourbon industry, and would be very aggressive in working with someone that wanted to start a distillery, or even warehousing or bottling or anything of that sort here.
Because that would be available in our...
Yeah, and I guess I shouldn't say bourbon. I mean, the spirits industry as a whole, the craft beer industry, and all of that is really growing, and it's been great for small communities in working with those industries. So we would love to get involved with that in 2017.
Yeah. And Alltech, of course, is involved
sure,
in that industry.
Yeah, they've got their
So
own
like
bourbon, their own beer, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then, you know, our plant here is doing more and more with the bourbon industry all the time. So maybe there's some opportunities for us down the road.
Well, I sure hope St. Catherine, we're going to see, you know, something great come there. Here I am now, Daniel, thinking I was just, you know, had retired, and I was going to start taking some classes out at St. Catherine City Inn, or maybe work on a master's in something, you know. You know, Steve Hell got his master's down there.
There was a lot of non-traditional students that really excelled down there.
Yeah. In community leadership, I think, was the degree. And I thought, gee, that sounds good. I mean, there were just so many wonderful opportunities with the college, and so really, of course, I would love to see it be a college, but hey,
I think we all would, but you know, we got to be open-minded.
Right. I'm happy with, you know, a retirement community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
we're going to need that with this aging population.
Absolutely. Assisted living's becoming more and more important all the time, and you know, you could be the captain of the softball team down there.
Well,
or
that's what
so,
I'm going to run track down there.
So we're hopeful, and that's, you know, we have to be optimistic, and we're going to be more aggressive, I think, going forward of how we can help them market that facility.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Daniel, sounds like there's lots of things going on as usual. I know you're busy as a bee, and I sure do appreciate your being here today and filling everybody in on what's going on, because, you know, I know everybody in this county and surrounding counties are interested not only in St. Catherine campus, but, you know, our community and our community and technical college here, and it's doing extremely well, and all of the things that tie in to our industry, so and our quality of life.
Absolutely.
In Springfield and Washington County.
Very high.
Right. Well, thanks so much, Daniel.
Always glad to be here.
Yeah.
So.